Good evening and welcome to the studio this evening. And tonight I will be carrying on with the candy cane chain that I started last night. This one is on commission, so I need to finish it fairly soon. Excuse me. So we have pink, we have gold, frankincense and myrrh, and we have sky blue. And then what we do is basically just carry on from where we left off last night. So we left off with doing two pink rings. So my next ones are pink, blue, gold. Excuse me. Is that correct? Blue, pink, gold. Blue, pink, yeah. Blue is next. Goes through those two. So this should be fairly rapid to do. That's not lined up at all, not even the slightest. I see, it's going to be one of those nights. That's better. Right, we'll get a rapid start on this, and then blue, pink. No, blue, gold, pink, blue, gold, pink, blue, gold. And we'll see where we get to, and then see what we do next. Excuse me, I've got something in my... keep clearing my throat. Pink. I think I had these the other way around last night. Yeah. Kind of get yourself into a rhythm. Here I think I was going anti-clockwise last night. Tonight I seem to be going clockwise, which will probably confuse me at some point, but we'll just see how it goes. So that's pink, blue, I do enjoy doing this particular weave. I don't particularly know what it is about this particular weave that I enjoy, but I do. Which of course always helps if you enjoy what you're doing. Gold. Bit of heterodyning off that lamp, so let's just fix that. There we go. So for the past few days I've been, whilst I've not been streaming and otherwise engaged doing other things, I've been playing Fortresscraft Evolved, which is proving to be quite an interesting and sort of addictive game to play. So I don't know if anybody out there's had a go with it yet. I know it's been described as kind of like a Minecraft Factorio crossover, and in some ways I suppose it is. You mine blocks, sort of. Well, you mine them to get somewhere, generally speaking, or to expose the ore, and then you have to use other tools to get the ore, and you can build with the blocks that you've just mined. But that's really kind of where the similarity stops. I'm really enjoying it because of the progression. I've with Factorio, for example, when I first tried that, I probably tried out about 6 or 8 worlds before I started building the one that I sort of was last building on it. Whereas with the Fortress Evolved, I'm actually playing the very first world I generated. And the progression cycling is quite good. You know, there's kind of always something to do, although you do sometimes spend time just hanging around waiting for smelting to take place. There's always sort of something to do and somewhere to go in terms of progression at the moment, so it's proving to be a really interesting game. And that ring is in the wrong place. So we'll put it in the right place and we'll get further. So I certainly would recommend anybody who likes sort of games of that style, Fortresscraft, like say Factorio and or Minecraft, are very likely to enjoy Fortresscraft Evolved, not Involved, and so I'd recommend checking it out. Take a look at some of the videos on YouTube. But if you're not sure, also good if you like killing wasps. Since it has quite a lot of them. Okay, if you're watching and don't know what you're seeing, which is possible I guess, what you're watching is chain mail in action. So if you saw that and were expecting me to be making armour, then your expectation is incorrect. I'm not making armour, don't intend to make armour. I'm not sure anybody would want to pay for any either, because it would be expensive. But chainmail is a technique of interweaving rings, or joining rings together to form things, and it became synonymous with armour just purely because that's what they did with it a long time ago. With chainmail, was make armour using chainmail techniques, and the two sort of just became synonymous with each other although they, you know, one is the technique and one's armour. But a lot of people do seem to expect to see armour when they see the word chainmail. But it can, as you can see, and because I'm making a bracelet here, make some very pretty jewellery. It's very lightweight. Aluminium, of course, is a lightweight metal. And also, as you can see, there's some very nice colours available. There's actually, in the generally speaking, I suppose there's, you know, there could be lots more, but I generally only use 15 colours. The main 15 colours. Occasionally get odd other colours. I've got a very lovely sort of salmon type pink. Deep rose it's called. It's deeper than this pink but lighter than red. Very limited number of those, which I use to make a dragon scale cuff. I am looking here for gold. Which looks absolutely beautiful. If you're at all allergic to metals like nickel, then it's likely that you're not going to be allergic to aluminium. It doesn't seem to cause allergies in people quite so much. In fact, I don't know of anybody that does have an aluminium allergy, so I would, you know, you can describe it as hypoallergenic, but basically it doesn't seem to bother people that are allergic to some metals. So if you do have that allergy, for example, to nickel, you should be alright with aluminium. The colours that you see are actually dyes, so the metal has been dyed, which means that the colour tends not to rub off. You can scratch it off, it is possible to do that, but then of course you are damaging the bracelet, so definitely not something to be recommended. But it is a fairly robust metal from that perspective. Doesn't scratch particularly easily, but neither do I recommend trying to scratch it, because if you try you will, and you wouldn't want to ruin something like this. So what I'm putting together here, as I mentioned, is a bracelet. It's going to be 7 inches long, I think, is what I was asked for. And so the chain itself will be 6.5 inches. The clasp adds another ½ inch to make 7. And this is this chain, or this particular weaving pattern, is called candy cane. It's called candy cane because the colours, although you might not be able to see them particularly well, it's more visible locally, but the colours that are in here do sort of twirl their way around the body of the chain, very much like American candy sticks and canes with that red stripe that runs around. These sort of mimic that same pattern, which I believe, or I understand, is where the name came from. Now I do like these complex looking weaves, it's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this one. and it's also sort of a challenge to find the ways in which, and I've done that wrong, you can do this, making it easier to do as you go along. So each weave has its own sort of quirks to some extent. Candy cane. Well, the sort of quirk with candy cane, I guess, is remembering the weave. But once you've got the hang of it, and I've made a few of these, and usually had to refer to reference pictures to help me work it out. But it's now clicked with me, and I can. I'm doing this without looking at any pictures at all. And you know, once something clicks with you like that, it becomes a lot more enjoyable to do, as well as faster, of course. And the nice thing about chainmail jewellery is you do make progress fairly quickly, which of course is can be more enjoyable than taking several weeks to do something. Yes, obviously different skills may be involved in something that takes that long, but it is kind of nice to start a piece and finish it fairly quickly. Because I kind of, I mean, this is, technically speaking, this is crafting rather than artistry, but there's not a lot of difference between the two. I'm using choice of colours, pattern placement, gold. That's wrong. Gold, pink. No, it's not. Gold, pink, blue, gold. Pink. Right, so what have we got there? That's probably about 4 inches, 4 or 5 inches long. Let's have a quick check. About 4.5. So another couple of inches. We'll make it 6.5. Gold. And pink. There we go. Gold again. It's really difficult sometimes to remember just which is the right colour. Luckily you can spot it by just looking at what's already on the chain, but sometimes it just skips your mind. And of course, although you probably wouldn't spot it straight away, it would become immediately sort of obvious looking at the bracelet afterwards. And of course it's not exactly too late to fix it, but it does get really awkward, especially if you've just skipped one, for example. And it's trying to insert a colour basically means replacing everything after the error in this particular chain, so not really the sort of thing you want to do is to accidentally skip out or use the colour twice. You do need to try and make sure you use the right colours, otherwise you're just in for a long period of unravelling and putting back together again. And much as I like doing this weave, I don't want to do the job twice. Ah, blue. Blue, gold, pink. Blue, blue, gold, pink. Those should have been blue, not gold. Yeah, that's what I mentioned a moment ago. I've got to get it right. If you don't, I'd have been out and that would have been not fun. Coyote Dancer, good evening and welcome to the studio. Nice to see you back again. Mostly just practice. It is mostly just practice. It's like anything that requires fine muscle control, which may be anything: painting, drawing, writing. Just a bit of practice, and you get to learn just what the right sort of pressures to use are and things like that. I'm not sure if that's a glad to be back from your perspective or glad to be back from my perspective, because you may have noticed. Okay. That was an odd noise in the studio. You may have noticed me having been away for a while, for about 3 weeks. I just didn't stream. I was very much I want pink. Do I want pink? Pink, blue, gold, pink. Yeah. I was very much having to work some very long hours for some very critical work, which some nights was going on until after I would normally stream, and also even on the nights where I finished before I would start a stream, I was just so tired that I didn't really want to do any art at all, or crafting for that matter. But I am glad that I am back and doing this now. It's blue, pink. Have I done this again? Why can I not get gold, pink? I can't get this into my mind to get this right. So I've got pink, gold, blue, blue, gold, pink. No, that's right. Pink, gold, blue. Gold. Sorry, I am just studying this. For some reason, it doesn't feel... I'm looking at this and thinking, have I done this right? Pink, gold, blue. Pink, gold, blue. I kind of thought I was going the other way around. Obviously I'm not though. Gold. Yeah, I am. Gold. Ah, dear. Oh, they do tend to sort of just leap out of your hand or leap out of the pliers and go all over the place. Which can be a challenge sometimes. Gold. So I've got pink in there. Then I've got blue on top of that. And then I've got gold on top of that. So pink. Blue on top of the gold. Pink. So I should be using blue. Pink, blue, gold, pink. Okay. I've only got 3 colours and I use them in sequence. And you'd think it would be really easy to remember. And there you go, you just caught me studying for a few minutes just trying to work out which was the right colour to use and had I used the right one. I do find it fun sometimes how the rings do just attempt to escape and just disappear. Now then. Gold. Gold, pink, blue. Gold, pink, blue. I'm going clockwise. Right, let's see how long this is. Five and a bit. It wants to be 6.5. So I've got about another 1.5 inches. I think it wants to be 7. I might have to check. So pink, blue, gold, pink. Might end up having to just recite this continuously in my own mind just to try and get it fixed. And then once I've done this, blue, I have a 3D pen which I want to try out. It's been in a box for about 3 weeks now. and I'd like to get it out and see if it, well, I assume it actually works, and have a play. Don't actually think I'm going to ever do any serious art with the 3D pen, but it was just something to play about with. I'm too much of a detailed person to have much fun with the 3D pen, but just, you know, holding a pen by hand and trying to do things like straight lines could be interesting. I may save the pen well tomorrow night, save it well the start of a stream to try out. Rather than start and do it in the middle. I quite fancy trying out a Viper Berus weave for chains as well, which is one I've not tried before. Looks quite a pretty weave. Got a bit of complexity to it, which I like. Since I'm trying to build up a bit of stock as well, I perhaps ought to persevere with the chainmail for a little while. Yeah, I'm almost down to rings, so I guessed. Well, I guessed at how many, because I got a ring count for an 8. I think it was an 8-inch bracelet, and this one being a 7-inch. So I was guessing at just how many rings I needed. So I'm hoping I'm close. Although since I've only got 2 blue rings left, I may not be as close as I thought. Blink blue. So my last 2 blue. Once I've done, I've got 2 more pink ones. So once I've done these, we'll measure it again, see if it's the right length. If it's not, I'll have to get some more rings out. But if it is, great. Looks like I'll have a gold ring left over, so maybe I miscounted somewhere along the line. Do try and get the counts accurate though, because it helps when you're weaving to just not to have to worry about how long the bracelet is, but just to keep weaving. So if I get the right number of rings to start with and count them out, then I can just weave without having to worry about it, and know that once I've done the rings I've got on the table, then it'll be the right length, and it'll be job done. Okay, so that's the chain so far. Now look at that, 6.5 inches. Now that, well, I probably couldn't do that again if I tried. So the only thing is, I don't have a clasp to put on that at the moment. I am just waiting for some stock to come in. So it needs a clasp on that end, and then a couple of rings on this, well, another ring on this side probably. So look. Yeah. I may actually take one of the rings off. There's two rings there which will fasten the clasp on, and there's 2 rings there. Now when I put the clasp on, the clasp, well, it just depends on how you actually, there we go, how the bracelet actually lays. The thing you got to do with bracelets is to make sure that the clasp sits flat, or is capable of sitting flat on your wrist, because if you don't, it will tend to annoy. Now the clasp has a ring which will go around there, which means the clasp will lay flat on the desk in that position. So when I look at this chain, yeah, it's naturally sitting with these 2 rings flat as well. Now if I want to put a clasp which is a lobster claw clasp, which is laid flat on the desk and sort of opens like that, so you know you'd have the open end here, it would have to twist to go on the end of this this bracelet. So what I will actually do is put an extra ring around these 2 that here, which will replace this black tie, and then that will allow the clasp, because the ring I put there will be vertical. The clasp, which is horizontal, will go through the vertical ring, and it will sit nicely on the wrist. And it still amazes me. I look at that there. This is a 7-inch bracelet. So 7-inch bracelet means it will go around a wrist 7 inches circumference, and that looks like a tiny wrist. You must have a very small wrist, coyote dancer. I mean, I look at mine, and you know, I can't actually show you my wrist on the camera, but you know, it looks it looks massive compared with mine. 6 inches. I just can't imagine that. I mean, I know the person this is for, and they do have a tiny wrist, but 6 inches, I cannot imagine it. These can be made smaller, by the way. It don't have to be 7-inch. So if you do want one that's, you know, you've got a 6-inch wrist and you want a 6.5-inch or 6-inch bracelet, actually I wouldn't recommend 6-inch in this for a 6-inch wrist, but it depends on how loose you like it as well, because this is it's quite a I will say, a chunky bracelet. The Wimbledon Dreams is slightly different. Yeah, just see if I can dig it out of my nope, that's squishes. Okay, this is an unfinished one. This is a large one as well, but this is Wimbledon Dreams, and unfortunately the purple doesn't show up. But I don't know if you can see it, but it's about half the diameter. So this one, this is larger rings than this, but it's still about half the diameter of that. So when you wrap this one around, you know, like a finger for example, and I wrap that round a finger, see if I can do it. I can't exactly get them, but if you can see, this one, which is smaller rings, stands a heck of a lot more proud than this. Yeah, when I measure this, I'm effectively measuring down the center of this like tube. So so if I make this 7 inches long, for example, it's well, how wide is this? Okay, I'm doing this, and it's well, I was about to say it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This measures so about 3/10 of an inch wide. So it's kind of like when the measurement for this is to stand 1.5 off your wrist all the way around, which makes the circumference longer. So effectively, all I was trying to say is the flatter something lies on your wrist, the closer you can actually get. If you get a piece of string around your wrist and measure it, it's the inside diameter of the bracelet that you're measuring. And I can't actually get this one to stand up too well as it is, but you measure the inside diameter, whereas when I'm measuring a bracelet, I'm measuring down the center. So if you have a 6-inch wrist, for example, 6.5 inches is probably a better one in that. You might get away with like 6.25, only generally speaking we don't do them in that accurate a size, because of course a ring, if I had a set of rings to this, it might go 3/16 of an inch longer or 2/16 of an inch longer. Either way, this one, because of the styling, it could go 1/10 of an inch longer with another set of rings. So all sizes are approximate, but I do try and get them as close as I can. It's so beautiful. Thank you very much. I do. Yeah, there's some really lovely colour combinations. I mean, I enjoy this one just because of the colours. That one's beautiful, the green and the purple. And here's one I did this week, which was a new colour combination, which is if it shows, it's yellow and silver, which is a really nice colour. Actually, I'm just wondering what's happened to Lady Zara, do you happen to have the 2 yellow and gold ones over there? No? Okay. They must be somewhere else then. Okay. Let me just see if I can find the other two that I've just done this week. I've been experimenting with colours and I did this one. This is actually, it's called a box chain, but it's actually a double helix. Effectively, the yellow and the gold spiral around each other in a double helix sort of style, which is quite fun to sort of try and follow it with your eyes as you turn it around. You can do it, but it gets quite well, it's kind of like a little Easter egg almost. It's a nice sort of pattern, and if you study it, you do realise it's got a spiral. And you saw me finish the candy cane. Here's another one, which is just using two colours, just the silver and the yellow. And again, the yellow spirals around the bracelet, depending on which way you're looking at it, of course. But it's sort of an anti-clockwise spiral. So I've been enjoying using the colours on that one. Thank you very much. So, what time is it? 9 o'clock. Let's have a look. There is indeed. There is indeed. Sorry, I'm just looking up some instructions. I find them really tactile. I do end up, if I get one of these in my hand, I do end up just playing with it. Like this one rolls really nicely, and it's as you can see, it's quite a fluid bracelet. I like the necklaces for that because you can sort of just curl them up and run them through your fingers, and I really just enjoy playing with the things. And of course, you get this one, which is a box chain, and you can have fun with the box chain because you can actually twist it as well. Some of the other chains don't look fantastically good when you twist them, but the box chain does because it puts that nice. Yeah. I'm kind of a tactile person anyway. Like with the wood, if you see me carving, I like just running my fingers over the wood. And chains have their own characteristics. Because this one, for example, which is the half Persian 4-in-1, I tend to like to squeeze it just to create the X shape. I sort of run my fingers down the X or down the spine. That's the Christmas Dreams one. This is the bigger version, and I just like doing that, which actually makes it look like what it is, which is the half Persian, because the Persian is sort of that with two rings. But I kind of enjoy playing with that in that way. They are really tactile. It's unfortunate that you don't get to do that on Twitch, to be able to play with them. At museums, I can just imagine someone with that's done a chalk or a charcoal or a pastel paint picture letting people touch. Probably wouldn't come out looking as good as it went in. That's the one I'm looking for. Okay. I have about 3.4. Okie dokie. Let's see what we've got. That's 5. 3.4. How about that? Thor. Aldel H, good evening and welcome. You've missed me finishing this one. And I'm not sure whether you've seen me do the other ones. That one I did a little while ago. Just teasing Coyote Dancer with that one. I'm going to try something new. And I'm trying to decide. It's my box of well, not exactly 15 colours because one's missing, sort of missing, which is I'm just about, well, I'm not out of bed because I've got a load in another box, but I haven't loaded this up. I am just trying to decide if I run black. Thank you, Aldel H. Does that mean the stuff that I was doing before then was terrible? Is that what you mean? Do I want to do black, purple? I'm trying to think. Viper Berus. I'm going to have a go at doing a Viper Berus chain, and I can do it all one colour. I can do it using 2 colours, and I can do it using 3 colours. And I'm just thinking of how to actually go about doing it. Actually, I'm wondering whether I stick with the yellow and silver theme. Yeah, no. What should I do? No, maybe try something. I've got the 3 yellow and silver there. So what else can we do? Got some sea foam. No, I don't like that. Don't like the green and blue. Actually, that doesn't look bad. Black and sea foam. I wasn't thinking they were going to go too well together, but they actually don't do too bad. So let's try some of that black and sea foam. So we'll get a few out. I'll just try a short length, and if I like it, I can carry on. If I don't like it, we'll stop. So now I need to just open these rings. Yeah, the black and green. Okay. I don't think I've done anything with black rings before, so this is the first. Will be the first bracelet I've done using black. I have played with the black before. No, that's not it. I was playing with the flower, but I need some wire to fasten it, either to a brooch or to a hair barrette. But I've been playing about with these are called scales. was going to do one with red and some black in the centre like a poppy. Okay. Well, I know the black, half of them want to be closed, so rather than open them to close them again, we'll just close them straight away. I'll just separate them from each other. These black rings are really strong. Oh yes, you can get some. You can go 3D. I mean, those are scales, so I mean, fairly obviously, I guess they do stand out 3D. But you can, if you, depending on how you do it, but I mean, you can end up. I mean, this is just a pendant, so it's a heart-shaped pendant. Is this to go from a chain? But if I were to put, you know, basically fold it like that, and then put a ring in the right place here, it will actually stand up, and you can actually form like tubes, for example, corners, and if you use slightly different sized rings, they're stiffer, and therefore they will tend to stand more. So you know, you can get some, you can get true 3D shapes. Let's do a 3 LDLH. Mr. Boombati is probably one of the longer running ones. He doesn't do it very often at the moment. He was not so long ago, but I think he's busy playing Ark at the moment. About origami, like, I'm not sure you can fold it as such. I mean, obviously you can create sheets of it, and the interesting thing about what you just said there, Coyote Dancer, is this is a Japanese style weave, where the large rings are side by side and they're joined by little rings. Rather than being interwoven as such as a lot of the European styles are, use all the same size rings, just interweave them. It's a bit of a coincidence. Yeah. With the scales, of course, you can. Those are two layered like that, but you know, the idea of them is that they are like sort of dragon scales, for example, and you can layer them on top of each other and create sort of some really interesting sort of patterns for things like necklaces and stuff like that as well. Right, these green rings I'm going to open. You get different sizes as well. They're they're medium sized, I think. I got a bigger one around here somewhere. I'm sure I've got a bigger one. You can get 3 different sizes, so one of the patterns I've got of leaves is large, medium and small, so you get like a layered flower like look as well. These rings are trying to get away from me tonight. I'm trying to make a dragon. No, I haven't, but I have seen a chainmail. Well, it is chainmail and the scale. You know the Chinese dragons, the really long, thin ones. I have seen. Was it on the internet? I'm not sure now, but actually, sort of a Chinese dragon made chainmail style with those scales, and it's made stiff enough that it actually stood up on its own legs. So it was quite an amazing sort of sculpture. I've not tried sculpture type chainmail yet. It can be frustrating because you're working with rings that are really tight in order to actually sort of stand up. But maybe I'll get round to it. I'll leave out the joke for the square ones. Of course, yeah. I'm now working with 18 gauge wire. I've been working with 19 gauge for these other bracelets here. These are 18 gauge, and the wire's thicker, and therefore I can feel the difference in the wire. Now then, I make a simple chain to start this off. Wow. The difference between an 18 gauge wire and a 19 gauge wire is quite small. Yeah, 19 gauge is 1mm and 18 gauge is 1.2mm, give or take a little bit. But the actual difference in strength that you need to close to manipulate the rings, it's about twice the power that you need in your hands. It's not. I mean, it's not, you know, great bodybuilding type power, but you certainly can notice the difference. So, oops. You were on about rings trying to jump all over the place, Coyote Dancer, and there's another one. Come on, ring. That's it. There you go, jumping again. That doesn't matter which end of the chain I work from, so or at least not to start with. Never really noticed the difference in strength before that I've needed. It's quite pronounced. I don't know if it's because I've sort of done 4 or 5 in the lighter gauge. God dear, come on back. See if I can get these big pliers in. Don't normally like using these, the wide nose pliers for doing this, but for working with rings. But for doing when you need more strength, it means that they're less likely to leap out the pliers, and you get a better twist on them rather than would do with the smaller chain nose pliers. Now then, this is where the fun does start, because Viper Berus is about twisting these rings in a particular way. So it's like that, yeah. So it's a well, the core is about doing that, putting a double twist on it, and then putting the next ring through in the right place, which is going to be up through there and down through there. Now then, this might be where I'm hoping this is a relatively stable weave, otherwise I am going to have problems trying to work it out. So I rotate that and put that under there. Now this will be one of these that's easier to do once I've got the thing started, and you've got something to hang on to. And what I will probably do is, once I've put a couple of these through, I'll put a little tie on the end just to hold on to. Yeah, I do. What think about the wide ones? See if I get hold of a ring. Think about the wide ones. If you look at the weight, tip the camera up a little bit. If I get hold of it with these wide nose pliers there and show you, you can see you've got hold of a fairly large area of the ring. If I do the same thing with the chain nose pliers, you can see the area of grip is a lot smaller. So if I were to twist now, what could happen, especially if I catch the two edges together, is I'll actually impart a local twist in this side of the ring. This one will stay flat because it's got a fair width that's holding the ring, whereas this one would probably put a very localized sort of kink in the wire. If it sort of, if the two ends sort of catch each other or something like that, or there's a ring caught between them, whereas the wide pliers don't do that. So it's always better to use the wide pliers if you can, rather than using the narrow ones. But when you're trying to work in amongst a weave, something like any of these, like the candy cane, you just can't get these in with enough to actually get hold of the rings. And what's likely to happen then is if you're just holding on to like the corner, like like that, and right on the corner, it doesn't take much for it to slip off and scratch. Whereas these, of course, because they're narrow, I can actually get in like that, and it's a lot harder for them to slip off. So really it's a case of using, use the big ones when I can, but use the little ones if I can't. The only thing I don't like using these. These have got, see the difference in the handles. These are an ergonomic handle, they're bigger, and they're slightly padded. Or they're not hard. They're not soft, but they're not particularly hard. These is just like a plastic coating over the metal of the pliers, and they can bruise your hands without too much trouble, especially if you have to grip hard, which is actually why you see the springs bent back here. These have been modified to with that spring in where it should be. It's almost impossible to close these pliers. With it bent back like that, it works just about okay. So you're modifying tools to fit, but at some point I'll get a pair of wide nose pliers with these handles, but not yet. And these actually are kind of best of both. These are called parallel jaw pliers, because when they close, the two sides stay parallel, whereas these of course are a V shape. These have a tendency to squeeze the rings out the end. These don't. So these kind of, if you use the side of these, they act like wide nose pliers. So if I do that, they act like wide nose pliers. But I can also hold it like that, and they work like chain nose pliers. So I kind of get the best of both worlds with these. And they actually even holding it sideways like that, because they are parallel, they hold the ring fairly tightly. Even the flat nose ones, because they're V-shaped, even when I'm holding a ring like that, still have a tendency to want to push it out. So there you go. All you wanted to know, and probably a lot more, about pliers. So what I do now is get this the right way. Now then, this is a bit fiddly, but my next ring, I've got a feeling this is going to be tight, but we shall see. So I pick up that, then go down through there. Yeah, this is tight. I think that's correct. Down. Down. Okay, go that way then. There. Okay, and that goes down through those, right. So I'll come up there, round and down through there. Yep, all of that and round, that's it. Yep, I think I'm doing this right. You're watching me do this for the very first time, so it is always possible that I'm making a complete mess of this. No, you're going to go... Well, I'm going to use a different ring to that one, which is escape somewhere. Sorry if this is a bit difficult to see. I am just trying to work out the way in which this goes. Not fantastically successfully at the moment. That one. Alright, I completely lost where that's going. Through that ring there, I think. Is that the correct one? Okay, take that ring out. We'll try that again. So that's going to lie across there. So at this point I am actually wondering if I've got this right. I think I have it right. Frustration sets in. I actually am wondering whether these would be better opened the other way. So these rings have been opened clockwise. I think. but they might actually be better opened in the opposite direction. Sometimes it is better to do that. Just because of the way the rings feed through, it's sometimes better to open them in opposite to what you would normally do. That one was fiddly. Okay. I'm glad I answered your problem without actually knowing that I was doing so. I'm sure this is easier once you sort of understand what's going on with this particular chain, but I know when I first did think, well, you've seen me do the candy cane tonight. When I first did candy cane, it took ages to get going on that and work out how things should work, and then once you understood that, then it became a heck of a lot easier. And I can see this one being exactly the same thing. Just understanding the positioning. Once you understand that, then it becomes, I can see it becoming a heck of a lot easier. So that's that way. So this one now wants to go through there. I'm half wondering whether these rings are actually tightening up as I do this. So I'm going to come, you see, contorting my hands around at the moment just to get there we go. This is where the practice comes in. When you're doing this, you just keep practicing things, and you gradually learn the tricks, the things that make doing it easier. So you learn where to hold your hands and things like that, and where to hold the ring, because sometimes you hold it at the bottom, sometimes you hold it by one of the ends, just depending on how you end up twisting the ring around, as I'm doing here. I, generally speaking, try and do everything in one single movement, if I can, because that way you get more speed and it's more comfortable to actually weave. this is where chain nose pliers comes in, trying to just get in there just to get hold of the end. So I'll just put one more green one on, and I'll take a look at this section of chain. Now it's going to go the wrong way. It wants to go that way around. Like that, I think. Yep. Okay, where's my camera control? That one. So I'll just zoom in on this a little. So this is a Viper Berus chain. It's different. Not quite sure whether I like it or not. I'm not quite sure whether I like the colours or not. I'm looking at it in the camera because it's sort of, I get the same sort of view as you get then. But it's like looking at it from a slight distance. I'm not as close to it. I don't know. What do you guys think? You want to see the whole thing? Yeah. It might be one of those that does need to have a this is just a short length, a test length, of course. I'm not sure whether the colours are right, black and green. There's I'll ask Lady Zara. You don't like the black?
I can't see it. Green with black here.
Maybe I'll do a bit longer, a bit more of it. Lady Zara's comment was it's probably more male jewellery than for a lady, but okay. Well, let's extend it a little bit further. As, you know, sometimes what you do get with these is a short test length. Sometimes they look great, and an actual full size looks not very good, and vice versa. So we shall try extending it a little bit. I don't think I've used seafoam. Well, I don't think I've used. Well, I've definitely haven't used black before, and I don't think I've used seafoam before. So let's make it a little longer. So let me. So 2, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 2. I'm busy trying to pick up these rings and I keep dropping them. I'm just doing is splitting them in half. So half the black ones I can do faster if half are open and half are closed. So to save me doing the job twice, as I mentioned before, I'll open some and close some rather than opening them all and then closing half of them. Okay, so I'll open these. I sometimes wonder where some of the weaves get their names from. Some of them, and there's thousands, literally thousands. Some of them are reasonably sort of descriptive, and yet others are, you know, completely fictitious, made-up names. I mean, Viper Berus, I don't know. It kind of sounds more like a snake to me than chainmail. But interesting names people come up with. Now, I don't need a lot of force to hold these rings whilst I'm doing this, because I'm not trying to push them together or anything. I'm literally just twisting them. I kind of could, if I had two of these rings, I kind of could do it just by sandwiching the two rings together and sort of twisting, but so it would be a little bit awkward. But so the pliers are just holding it really lightly, and I'm just just to stop it falling out basically, and then just twisting. Not opening them a great deal. Different people have different preferences. I don't like to open them too far because it increases the chances of me actually snapping the ring when I do it. But one of the other reasons that I don't like to open them too far, at least on mini weaves, and this one is proving to be one that's similar, and that is when the ends are too far apart, you sometimes have great difficulty getting the ring through the place you want it to go, because the other end is kind of blocking you because it's in the way of something. Okay, so we'll just close a few of these black rings so that we can make a chain out of them. Now if you heard that click, that's just the two ends of the ring catching each other as I twist them back. So I'm not just twisting them, I'm actually pushing the ends together. In fact, I push them slightly past each other and then bring them back, and that way it's like a spring, they're pushing against each other, which helps stop them sliding apart when they relax. And sometimes what you'll hear is a slight click, or not so slight click, when the two ends just pass each other as I'm twisting it back. So the click is okay. Okay, I'm now starting to get used to these rings and the pressure needed, so they don't feel quite as strong as they did before. And the larger pliers actually help as well because they distribute the force over the width of the ring. So a lot of the force that I was using is in the twist, a little bit in the push, and as I said, the wider jaws means that it's like using a lever to lift something off rather than trying to get your fingernails under it. The wider the pliers, the easier it is to twist the rings. Right, let's join these onto the end of the chain. Actually, I could have worked from either end, but this one will work from this end. See if I can do it with. So whilst I can get the big pliers in, I'll use them. Okay. Of course, the trick is not to let go with one pair of pliers before you've actually grasped the ring with the other. The other trick is not to keep your rings immediately under where you're working, so that if you drop something they scatter all over the place. I'm working off frame, aren't I? There we go. You could have mentioned it. And it looks like I'm slightly off focus. There. Okay, LDLH, have a good evening. I probably will stop soon, so I probably won't be around when you're finished, but I should be back on again tomorrow, I hope. But its core, Viper Berus, is just a simple one-in-one chain, which is then you link link some of the link every alternate link together with another link. God, that's quite hard to say. Link together the links with another link. And the main trick is just making sure that they all line up and lay in the same direction, it seems. We're almost finished making the black chain. The larger nose pliers aren't very easy, aren't very convenient for picking things up like rings and things. Great for closing when you can get them in like this, but when you're trying to pick up one open ring just by the right place. It gets a little bit awkward. There we go. I do like anything else, you know, with old tools, it's just practice. That makes it easier. With the carving it's the same, you know, it's when I first did it, it was really awkward. It got easier as I practiced and did more carving. I knew I was going to have one black ring left over, which is what I have. Okay, so one long chain. That's creepy music that's on. That one there. Oh, bother. So now that I've started to get the hang of doing this, what I'm now looking at is I'm just studying it as I go along. Just working out perhaps what's the easiest way for me to sort of like get hold of the rings in order to weave them into the pattern that I'm after. I'm not doing too successful. This back edge here is a bit more awkward than the front. Actually, I'm wondering. Chains are are often symmetrical. And so sometimes it can be as easy if you're having problems doing one side, and I seem to be having problems doing both sides at the moment, but if you're having problems doing one side, sometimes you can either turn the chain over or turn it around, and then you're just doing the same side that you've just done. So I am, as I'm doing this now, sort of studying it and trying to work out which is the easy ways and which is the harder ways of doing it. Although I'm studying it, I'm not getting there yet. Here's Felix busy knocking things off over there. I thought he was somehow. Kind of surprised he hasn't visited the stream this evening, since he's been rather friendly for the past few days, actually wanting to sit on knees and things. It looks like I'm actually managing to sort of develop a technique for doing this. Using that trick, as I mentioned earlier, where you keep working, you turn it over because it's symmetrical, and work from the other side, and that seems to be making it a lot easier to do. Does mean I've got to manipulate the ring in my fingers before I can actually put it through the grab hold of it with the pliers, though, just to get it in the right place. But if that saves sort of 5 minutes fiddling with it to get it into the right place once you're in the weave, then it's worth doing. Just awkward sometimes to pick it up and okay, now that I'm getting the hang of this is going quite quickly. Get hold of that side and put it through there. Yeah, looks like I've got a technique for doing this now, which probably means I've just jinxed myself and the next sort of rings won't go in or something like that, but well, it's now turned what was quite a difficult thing at the start into quite an easy way of progressing. And that's one thing with weaves, you want to be doing the ones that you enjoy doing. If you don't enjoy doing them, don't do them. And but once you can develop a technique that lets you do them and lets you have fun doing them, then all to the good. Right. I'm nearly out of green rings. And I'm not going to bother opening any more tonight, but we'll continue with this on the next stream. I'll show you what this looks like in just a moment. We'll just put these last few in. I could not have done better with that if I'd have counted the things out. I have got exactly the right number of green rings to go with the number of black rings I have here. And one black one left to put the extra chain on tomorrow. So there we go. That's a length of Viper Berus chain. There's a variant of this called Kinged, which is has two, where the green rings are, there's two rather than one. But the rings have to be thinner to do that. This is just a single side ring chain. If I try to put two through, this would become so stiff as it wouldn't actually move, and it's a nice fluid chain. The colours are not bad actually. They're growing on me with the length, which is kind of ironic in a way, because the length is growing, but looks the same on both sides. It's sort of like two simple chains wound together, which is effectively what it is. But deceptively complex. If you can see the black rings in the middle, it's not very easy to see, but they're all sort of interwoven with each other in what looks like a really complex pattern. But as you kind of know if you've just been watching me, it is only a simple black chain that is just twisted, and then the green ones are put through afterwards. But I rather like that. Okay, what I'm going to do... Oh, Special Lady. That's the name of that bracelet that's in the picture on the left hand side now. Made with Swarovski crystals. I think there's something like about 90 crystals in that bracelet. Talking of the shop, that's the URL for the shop. Actually, I must change it. There's a simpler one. Etsy.com/shop/Zeragonart or zeragonart.etsy.com will also get you to the shop. Recommend you check it out. It's got all the bracelets and chainmail that you're seeing in the bottom left here are on the shop. These aren't, like this one isn't there yet. It will be at some point, but I can take some photographs, and when this one's finished and when these lovely yellow and silver ones, I'll get them photographed and onto the Etsy shop as well. Moobot has also been dropping a few links into chat. There is 3 bracelets available for immediate purchase, because all the Etsy stuff is made to order. There's 3 that are available immediately from stock on eBay if you are interested in getting a bracelet and don't want to wait to have one specially made. Moobot there, just dropping the link in. So yeah, check that out as well. And see what you think. In the meantime, that's it for tonight. So I recommend following me on Twitch. Yeah, that's right. That way Twitch will let you know when I go live, and you can find me again fairly easily in your list of favourites. If you like, follow me on Twitter. It's @Zaraganart. That way, when I go live, a tweet goes out. And odd things like new stuff going into the shop also gets tweeted as well, just so that you get to know it's done. Apart from that, if you want to just try and catch me tomorrow, hopefully I will be on tomorrow from about 8 PM UK time. That's 2000 hours GMT stroke UTC, or about 2 hours 20 minutes ago in whatever time zone you're in. Thank you very much. Thank you, Coyote Dancer. We'll finish this tomorrow. I'll make it to a full length bracelet, I think. Thank you very much. It's been fun having everybody watch, and have a good night. See you in the workshop the next time. Bye for now.